Now that you've seen the swatches, let's go with the first shade, which is 435, and we're going to try to cover up this skin scar, which is still healing right here. Concealer claims to be ultra pigmented with a camouflage type appearance, meaning that it's supposed to, in a sense, cover up a scar, cover up a blemish. So let's give that a shot.
Voiceover time. My microphone messed up the audio. So here we go. I'm applying the concealer to the scar first, and I'm going to start to build it up. So this is the first layer, and I'm just pressing and patting it in. And I'm going a second time now, same method, trying to build up the coverage. I'm noticing that it's not covering the scar as well as I would like it to. Now I'm going to go in a third time to see if I can finally cover this bad boy up. I'm taking a stipple brush and pressing in the third application of the concealer. And I'm also moving the brush at the same time, which you can't really see on film, but it's the best way to kind of, what's the word? It's just a good way to buff in the concealer, trying, again, build up coverage and cover the scar. Now I'm trying to cover the other dark marks along my jawline. Let's see how well it covers up. And I'm using the lighter shade, which is the 435. Now I'm going to take the same brush that I used earlier, the denser brush, in a stipple motion and trying to buff in the concealer on top of the scar. I'm going to wipe off the product and apply the darker one now, the 465. And now the audio came back, so voiceover ends. And will I return? Stay tuned. Bye.
This time I dipped it in, but I went a little bit more than a scoop, just to get a little bit more on the tip of the brush. Now that covered it. Now I'm going to go in with the buffing brush and just kind of press and buff that on. And I'm going really lightly. As I'm turning the brush, I mean, I can barely feel it on my skin. That's the stipple motion I like to do because it kind of just moves the cream in a soft manner. So that way you can cover whatever it is you're trying to cover. I used a product that had coconut in it, and I'm allergic to coconut. I didn't know it had coconut in it, which is my issue, which is my fault. So anyways, yeah, my skin is, I'm back to having to use a little bit more concealer than usual until my face clears up. Okay, now I'm going to go do the same action with the buffing brush, kind of spread out the cream. Now I'm not buffing it out completely into the skin, because what I'm going to do is, as you saw from the swatch, I like these two colors mixed together. I just went boop, right on top with this shade. And I'm going to go in and just press that on top of the darker shade. Now take the buffing brush and buff both of those shades together. What I'm trying to do is see if I can just mimic and get my own skin tone shade here. Because one's too dark, one's too light. But mixed together, it kind of makes my skin tone shade. There's still some left over on the brush, so I'm just going to go and press and pat that right on top of the other color. I still see the scar up here peeking through, and I do see the hyperpigmentation, the dark marks. It does claim to cover up a blemish, so let me clean off the brush again. These two down here, they've had a couple days to rest and relax. So let's try to see if it will cover up that. I'm just going to go ahead and dip it into both of the shades. So both of the shades are now on here. I'm just going to press and pat, and looks like I got more of the lighter shade this time around. So I'm going to clean off the brush, go into the deeper shade, and pick some of the deeper color up. and then press that on top of it. Now, what I'm going to do is now I'm just going to kind of just move the product around the blemish. Then take the buffing brush and press and pat that in. Now, I like how that covers up a blemish versus a dark mark. Not this one. We're leaving this one alone. I want it to heal. If I put makeup on top of it, it's going to take longer. So those two right there, if you can see it. And again, the dark mark and then the scar up there. This time I'm going to use a larger concealer brush. I'm still going to work from the top lid, and this is number 435. I'm going to focus the concealer right here towards the inner eye first and then bring it out, kind of stopping in that midway point. Now I'm going to take a damp beauty blender and press and pat that into the skin. Okay, that's one coat. Now just for, I'm not going to say it, but you know when they say S and G. Now just for some shit and giggles, take just whatever is left on my brush and kind of just apply a little bit more. I'm purposely adding a bit more because I know that some people like to use one layer, some like to use 3, if not more. Because I'm curious, I'm going to try the darker color on the other side. Again, you can, so that way you can see what it looks like. But let's go ahead and set, and again, because some of you like to bake, let's go ahead and just set this under eye area here. I'm just going to set it with some loose powder here, and I need a brush. Okay, so let's let that just sit there. And then we'll do the other side. The brush is already clean, and I'm going to now dip into 465. This is the darker shade. Now let's set that side, and actually I first just used the brush, but now that I'm done with the sponge, just in case you like to set your concealer with the sponge, let's go ahead and just do that for this other side. And I better use the hand mirror because I cannot see my other mirror that's clear over there. Okay, now let's set this side with the beauty blender. The other side has been sitting for quite some time. Let's brush this other side away. Okay, while that side is still baking, let's look on this side. Okay, now I'm going to look really close up. There's not a crease in sight. Not bad. Let's brush off the other side here. Close with the magnifier, there's some dry skin right here, and I can clearly see it. Actually, the skin's a little bit lifted. Now, I did exfoliate this morning, so I don't know if that has anything to do with the fact that I used a damp sponge to set the powder, set the concealer, and then basically baked at the same time. I'm going to zoom you up close so at least you can see there's not a crease in sight. Not a crease in sight. Still see my scar, of course, but not a crease in sight. And right here is where that dry skin is. Again, I'm not sure if the camera is picking it up. I saw it very up close with the magnifying mirror. Okay, so covering up a dark mark. No, it's not as concentrated, not as highly pigment as I would need it to be to cover up a dark mark, cover up any type of hyperpigmentation. I'm fine with how it covers up a small blemish, a blemish that's not so fairly new. But again, with a new blemish that same day, I'm going to leave it up to you. That's going to be your homework. I want mine to hurry up and heal because that's how I am with my skin. But other than that, that's my thoughts on that. Okay, so now for underneath the eyes, I like the shade 435, the lighter shade for underneath my eyes. That seems to just kind of blend in, and as you can see, you can build it up. So if you're in a hurry or you're just a heavy-handed person, you want to put a lot underneath your eyes, or you have extreme dark circles underneath your eyes, I think it's going to be fine. You try it out, use a brush, let me know, was it creasing on you? Give it a shot. Now with the darker shade 465, it's just slightly darker underneath the eyes, but I can see it up close. Again, slightly darker. If anything, I can see a little bit of red kind of peeking through, but that's something that I can see. I don't know, again, if it picked it up on camera. So that's why I prefer the 435 versus the 465 for underneath my eyes. Now, building it up with the darker shade, as you can see, it worked fine. Baking it though, now setting it with the sponge and baking, that I'm not going to do, only because it's picking up any type of dryness on that side of my face. And frankly, even though I exfoliate every day, I don't want to worry about that. I don't want to worry about just doing my face, and then if I just choose to do it this way, and if I have any dryness there, I don't want to worry about that. So for me personally, I'm going to just stick with a brush. Oh, the texture real quick. It's about, I would say, semi-thick. It's not thick, you know, like some types of concealer that is very emollient, but it's still there. It's creamy, but it's like semi-thick. Kind of want to give you that type of an insight. I think we're done. Hopefully I've covered everything. Everything that you might need, everything I might need on Lancôme's new Teint Idole foundation. Folks, I have to come on board real quick to tell you that as I was editing the Lancôme concealer video, at the end, something happened to the old microphone. I have a new microphone now, but something happened. So my voice starts to go down to the point where you really can't hear it. So I do apologize for that, but thankfully it happened at the end of the video. So I'm not able to give you a proper goodbye. I'll give it to you now, even though I just filmed my hair care video. So that's why I look different. But I just want to let you know why. Why is she coming on here looking like that? And she, no. Moving forward with the concealer, it's not something I'm going to pick up a full size of, just because I have to mix the two. The two shades I have to mix to kind of get more of a proper skin tone color for me. And it doesn't conceal blemishes and imperfections on the skin as much as I would like it to. And frankly, kind of what it's marketed to. I'm thinking it's more of a highly pigmented, a thicker type of concealer in that sense, to really kind of cover scars. Well, not heavy scars, but you know what I mean. And minor imperfections on the skin and blemishes and so forth. So for me, I just wasn't impressed as far as for testing it out. Thank you very much for stopping by and watching, and I hope the Lancôme video was helpful for you. It is a new concealer, so definitely let me know if it's something that you're going to pick up or you already have picked up and you're currently using. I'd like to know, how's it working out for you and how's it look on your skin itself. Have a wonderful day or evening, and as always, I'm going to see you in the next video. Goodbye.